See, bruh. See, y'all done played so many games. Adam Silver has completely dubbed y'all. Once again, Adam Silver is showing he don't give a damn about what's going on with these ladies in this CBA negotiations. Y'all were the ones. It was y'all who was calling for Adam Silver to get involved. Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier.
That frustration you just heard, it's real. While WNBA players are fighting for their financial future, the one person who promised to help them has gone completely silent. Adam Silver made a promise back in October that he would personally make sure a CBA agreement gets done. Now it's February and he's not returning their calls. Instead, he's announcing NBA expansion plans while the WNBA might be heading toward its first strike ever.
Via Yahoo Sports, courtesy of Yahoo Sports, the NBA Board of Governors is likely to vote this summer on expanding the league by 2 teams. Las Vegas and Seattle are considered the favored cities. So
here's the timeline that matters. In October, Adam Silver publicly said he would make sure a deal gets done. He acted like the deal maker who would help players and owners agree. Then something changed. Gambling controversies hit. The NBA's money streams exploded, and suddenly Silver's priorities shifted. He's got a league making tons of money, and he's got another league that's been losing about $40 million every year for most of its existence. Rebecca Lobo, former WNBA star and current ESPN analyst, has talked openly about how the players' public statements have hurt their negotiating position. When you're asking for 30% of total revenue while the league is still losing money, and you're doing it through social media campaigns and PR stunts, you lose leverage fast.
This just goes to show how he is ignoring this league. He is done with these ladies. He wants nothing. He does not want to sit down and talk to no Breanna Stewart. He does not want to sit down and talk to Nneka Ogwumike or Nafisa Collier. Okay? He probably would sit down and talk to Caitlin Clark. But the rest of y'all, he's not taking the time out of his day to sit down and meet with y'all after he's seen how y'all have gone about this entire process, the entire situation.
Look at what's happening right now. The NBA Board of Governors is preparing to vote this summer on expanding the league by 2 teams. Las Vegas and Seattle are the front runners. These expansion fees could reach $4 billion per team based on recent franchise values. That's $8 billion flowing into the NBA, while the WNBA is stuck in negotiation limbo. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Silver is actively growing the profitable league while letting the struggling one sort itself out, and the players are starting to realize they've been outplayed. Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier were the ones calling for Adam Silver to get involved. They wanted his help at the negotiating table. Now they're getting ignored while he focuses on expansion markets and international growth.
So basically, it seems like the league came back to them, changed some other things that I feel like are things that could be easily negotiated. We've talked about it in previous episodes. They changed some of those things and they maybe budged like 1% on the revenue split.
Now, the WNBA owners have drawn the line in the sand and they told y'all what we can't do.
Rachel Nichols broke down the current state of negotiations, and it's not pretty. The league took 6 weeks to respond to the players' latest proposal. 6 weeks. And when they finally came back to the table, they barely moved on the core issue that matters most to players: revenue sharing. Here's where the 2 sides are stuck. The players want 30% of gross revenue. That means 30 cents of every dollar that comes into the league before any expenses are paid. The owners are offering 70% of net revenue, which is what's left after operating costs, salaries for league staff, marketing expenses, arena costs, and everything else gets deducted. On paper, 70% sounds bigger than 30%. In reality, it's way less money because the net revenue pool is so much smaller than the gross. The owners have made concessions on housing. They've agreed to stop trading pregnant players without consent. They've compromised on travel and per diem rates. But the players haven't publicly given in on a single issue, not one. And that's becoming a problem.
What we've been hearing from all the players is if they do not budge on the revenue split, like that's all that they're focused on, and the players are also not going to budge. So we're getting to the point where one of them is either going to concede or they're going to strike or lock out because they're just calling one another's bluff. Basically, the players are saying, we're not budging until you give us this gross revenue split of 30%. The league is offering a net revenue split of 70%, and the league took 6 weeks to respond to this, and it doesn't seem like they changed too much. And Alexa Filippo tweeted,
but the league, at the end of the day, the players aren't being realistic.
The housing situation is a perfect example of how this negotiation has gone sideways. The latest proposal includes one-bedroom apartments for players on minimum salary with 0 years of service from 2026 through 2028. After that, only developmental players get studio apartments. The owners didn't want to provide housing at all. They argued that NBA players find their own places to live, but they compromised anyway. Yet when you listen to the players' union representatives talk publicly, housing barely gets mentioned. It's all about the revenue split, which tells you everything about priorities. If the league came back tomorrow and said, fine, we'll give you 30% of gross revenue, but you're on your own for housing, the players would sign that deal immediately. So why are we spending negotiating energy on secondary issues? Alexa Philippou from ESPN reported that the league's position is clear. The players aren't being realistic. And when a credible journalist who covers the league daily says that, it's worth paying attention to.
Bro, we don't give a damn about watching no Nneka Ogwumike, bro. We really don't. Yeah, I'll miss Kelsey Plum, whatever. We got Caitlin Clark, we got Paige, we got Sonia Citron, we got the new rookies we about to bring in. I'm cool with that. Let's move on with the young players, please. We can move on without these vets. I'm not tripping. I really don't care to watch Brittany Griner play basketball no more. I really don't give a damn. I really don't care. Let's just keep it real. Let's just keep it all the way real. Like, come on.
About the changes to housing, and the WNBA's latest proposal included some concessions on housing. One bedrooms would be available for players on their applicable minimum salary and with 0 years of service, 2026 to 2028 only. Developmental players would get studio apartments. No significant updates on rev share. I feel like I've said about housing.
Again, another thing that WNBA owners have compromised on.
Now we're hearing rumors about a potential strike during NBA All-Star Weekend. The WNBA Players Association worked with a social media account called On the Line to post a video about the 1964 NBA All-Star Game strike. In that situation, the top NBA players threatened to boycott the All-Star Game minutes before it aired, ultimately winning union recognition and changing professional sports labor relations forever. The parallel is obvious. The players are studying that playbook. They're considering a dramatic public action that forces the league's hand. But here's the critical difference. In 1964, the NBA was a growing league with momentum. The players had leverage because the product was valuable and getting more valuable. The WNBA in 2025 is coming off its best season ever, thanks almost entirely to one player's impact, but it's still not profitable. The leverage calculation is completely different.
I guarantee you guys, if the league came back and they were like, sure, we'll give you 30% of gross revenue, you got to get your own housing, the players would be like, fine, and would sign it. You know what I mean? This is nothing. It bothers me. It bothers me that it's such a point of contention because they will figure that part out. That is something that will be figured out. Now, with these reports, there have also been rumors that the players might actually strike during NBA All-Star Weekend, but I want to point out to you guys something that the WNBPA posted on their Instagram. This was 5 days ago. The caption said, in 1964, the top players in the NBA struck the All-Star Game minutes before it aired, winning union recognition of the NBPA and changing pro sports forever. Today, the WNBPA is ready to strike for the first time, demanding to be paid what they're worth. Now, the WNBA did not create this video. This is from On the Line account, but they did collaborate with them on Instagram. And I feel like this is something that we probably shouldn't ignore because when these rumors about a strike, I feel like are getting more real by the day.
Sophie Cunningham, the Phoenix Mercury guard, said publicly that the WNBA has become the laughingstock of professional sports because of how these negotiations are being handled. And she's not wrong. The optics have been terrible. Players put inflatable rats outside the NBA offices in New York City. They've launched social media campaigns comparing their situation to labor exploitation. They've framed this as a civil rights issue rather than a business negotiation. All of that might feel good in the moment. It might rally the most passionate supporters, but it doesn't move the needle with the people who actually make the decisions, the team owners who are writing checks to cover losses every single year. Here's what the players seem to be missing. The owners aren't cartoon villains hoarding money. They're business people who've invested in a league that loses money every year. That balls, they're being asked to commit to a revenue-sharing model that could cost them $700 million over the life of the agreement if the league doesn't hit very aggressive growth targets. That's not a small ask. That's betting the entire future of the league on projections that may or may not come true.
The video out, but and shout out to Rachel Demeter. Her whole point is there could be a strike coming from these players, and it could be happening this week. It could be going down. But hey, I'm interested. I'm paying attention. I got my eyes peeled, ear to the streets. That's why you got to stay over here on KTV, man. Adam Silver don't give a damn. He ain't rocking with these chicks no more. Get down in the comments and let me know what you think. This Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.
The replacement player conversation is where this gets really interesting. Because the truth is, a big portion of the WNBA's new audience came specifically to watch Caitlin Clark. Not the league broadly, not women's basketball as a concept. They came for her. She averaged over 2 million viewers per game during her rookie season. Indiana Fever went from being one of the least watched teams in the league to setting attendance records in every arena they visited. Now add in Paige Beckers, who's entering the league this year. Add Juju Watkins next year. Add Hannah Hidalgo and the rest of this talented rookie class. If the veteran players strike and the league brings in replacement players built around these young stars, does the audience actually leave? Or do they just keep watching the players they came to see in the first place? That's the leverage question nobody wants to say out loud. But it's the calculation happening in every owner's mind right now. So here's where we actually are. Adam Silver has completely checked out of these negotiations. He made a promise in October, then watched the players lose public support through their tactics and statements. He's not interested in mediating between two sides when one side keeps moving the goalposts and the other side is trying to protect themselves from massive financial losses. The NBA expansion is moving forward. Las Vegas and Seattle will probably get teams by 2027 or 2028. Those expansion fees will generate billions in revenue that the NBA owners will split. Meanwhile, the WNBA is stuck in a negotiation where both sides are calling each other's bluff, and neither side seems willing to blink first. The players think they have leverage because of the Caitlin Clark effect and the record ratings from last season. The owners think they have leverage because they're the ones covering the losses and they can survive a work stoppage better than the players can. Both sides might be wrong. Here's what happens if they strike. The league either brings in replacement players and builds around the rookies who want to play, or they cancel the season entirely and both sides lose. If they bring in replacements, the striking veterans lose their platform and their leverage permanently. If they cancel the season, the momentum from 2024 disappears and they're starting from scratch in 2026. Neither outcome is good for the players. Neither outcome is good for the league. But both sides have dug in so deeply that backing down now feels like losing. Caitlin Clark said it best at the Team USA tryouts. "We need to find a compromise because ultimately we need to play basketball." She's right, but compromise requires both sides to give something up. And right now, we haven't seen the players give in on anything meaningful. The owners have moved on housing, maternity leave, trading restrictions, travel accommodations, and minimum salary increases. The players are still demanding 30% of gross revenue with no backup position. That's not negotiating, that's making a demand and hoping the other side caves. Adam Silver knows this. That's why he's not getting involved anymore. He can read the room. He knows the players have lost public support by overplaying their hand. He knows the owners aren't going to agree to a deal that could bankrupt franchises if growth projections don't come true. And he knows that getting in the middle of this mess doesn't help him, doesn't help the NBA, and probably doesn't help the WNBA either. So the question becomes, who blinks first? Do the players lower their demands and take a deal that's better than what they have now, even if it's not everything they want? Or do they strike, lose their salaries, and risk being replaced by rookies who are happy to have the opportunity? Do the owners hold firm and risk losing their best players? Or do they make one more big concession to get a deal done and keep the momentum from last season? Right now, it's a staring contest, and Adam Silver is in the other room announcing NBA expansion plans while both sides wait for him to come save them. But he's not coming. He told them what he could do. They didn't take it. Now they're on their own. NBA All-Star Weekend is this week. If the players are going to make a dramatic statement, that's when it happens. If they don't strike then, they probably don't strike at all, and we get a last-minute deal that nobody's happy with but everyone can live with. But if they do strike, If they actually follow through on the threat, then we're in completely uncharted territory because the WNBA has never had a work stoppage. We don't know how fans react. We don't know if the momentum survives. We don't know if the owners just shut it down for a year and come back when the players are more desperate. What we do know is this: Adam Silver isn't saving them. The players' public tactics have backfired. The owners aren't budging on the core financial issue, and we're running out of time before the season is supposed to start. So where do you stand on this? Are the players right to hold out for 30% of gross revenue, even if it means risking everything? Or are they being unrealistic about the financial situation of a league that's still not profitable? Because you can't have it both ways. Either the league is making tons of money and the players deserve more of it, or the league is still losing money, and the players need to accept a deal that protects everyone's future. Let me know in the comments what you think happens next. And make sure you're subscribed, because when this situation explodes, one way or the other, we're going to break down exactly what it means for the future of the WNBA.